Hey, baddie. It is New Year's Eve, and I am going for dinner with a few girlfriends, just literally a 2-minute scooter ride away from my place. And naturally, I have an urge to record a podcast episode at this very moment. And today, I want to tell you about how ChatGPT saved me from honestly potentially ruining one of the best friendships in my life. And I've been trying to use ChatGPT a lot more in my life, in my business. And so I want to share with you how I used it to give me advice on how to deal with a certain situation with one of my girlfriends. And so the specific situation was my girlfriend had sent me a message around a boundary that she wanted to set with me, right? Which can be very triggering. If that's ever happened to you, you know that sometimes we might spiral into victimhood. We might spiral into feelings of wanting to get defensive. And luckily, in that moment when she sent me that message, I was self aware enough to know that I'm probably being a little bit subjective. But because I could feel myself getting defensive. I could feel myself thinking about like, oh, how can I kind of deal with this in a situation that is going to protect my ego, right? Subconsciously. And so because I was self-aware enough, I thought, you know what? I actually don't feel objective enough to really handle the situation. I don't want to respond in a way that I'm going to regret. I don't want to respond in a way that is going to potentially harm this friendship. And so I turned to my friend ChatGPT for some advice, and I want to tell you all about it, down to the prompts that I used and also the ways that I tried to get ChatGPT to justify my thinking, and how actually ChatGPT really held the line with me and said, hey, I know that you want to feel like that, but this is actually what's objectively going on. And my hope is that you can understand how you can maybe use ChatGPT in these social situations to avoid doing things that you're going to regret, maybe just, reacting or whatever it is that you're trying to avoid to really protect the relationships in your life. I truly believe in the future of AI, and I truly believe that AI is going to be able to more and more support us through these situations. I'm really excited about it. And so I want to share with you this example so that maybe you can benefit from using this in your life as well. All right. So just to kind of recap the situation. So this is a girlfriend who we've been friends all year. She is honestly an absolutely incredible person. She is a very self-aware person as well. She is someone who has really supported me through some really turbulent times in my life this year. I've supported her through turbulent times. We've gone through a lot of similar things together in a really creepy way, including moving to new countries, traveling a lot, leaving relationships. And so me and her have really been living kind of like a parallel life. And we formed a very, very close bond over the past, I'm going to say pretty much a year, a little less than a year. And so this is a friendship that is extremely, extremely important to me. It's one of those friendships where as soon as we met for coffee, it was like we just couldn't stop talking, and we're just on the same wavelength. We are just both really, really great at pushing each other to be better in our life and be very honest with each other. And so again, really, really valuable friendship. It would be an absolute disaster if I did anything to harm that friendship. So what happened was a few days ago, she sent me a text message over WhatsApp and she said, hey, she raised something that was bothering her about the way that we were communicating, some things that I was bringing up. I'm not going to go into detail because it doesn't really matter, but she really expressed a boundary. And the way that she wrote the text message was honestly really nice. She's, again, a very self-aware person. She's a very kind person. She loves me very much. And she wrote it in a very, very sweet way. But of course, it triggered me, right? Because it was around a topic that was something that I was doing that I'm actively working on that I know is a bit of a negative point about me. And so obviously that was really uncomfortable for my ego. And so as soon as I read the text message, you know that feeling when you read that text message and you instantly just your mood drops and you start to feel worried and you start to kind of get into that defense mode, right? And my instinct was to reply right away because, of course, we want to defend ourselves. We want to justify ourselves. We want to, again, protect our ego. But again, I was first self-aware enough to think, to realize I cannot reply right now. I need to at least think about it. So I just kind of put a pause on it. And as time went by, I decided that I wanted to actually get ChatGPT's help. So I was out with lunch with a friend. And so I told myself when I get home, I'm going to turn to ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to help me analyze the situation. And the only reason I thought about turning to ChatGPT is actually because I recently saw a thread on Threads randomly. I'm literally never on Threads, but the other day I randomly logged into Threads. This is the power of the universe. I randomly logged into Threads after like 3 weeks. And the thread that I saw, of course, the universe was like, you need to see this thread the one time that you log in. And the thread was showing you how you can actually use ChatGPT to basically vent your thoughts and then ask ChatGPT to tell you what are some cognitive distortions, limiting beliefs, or subjective thoughts that I have around the situation. And she was kind of saying, hey, this is like free therapy. And so I remember that and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that with this text message. So what I did, and I want to literally just walk you through the entire sequence of prompts that I did with ChatGPT because I think it's really, really helpful. So I personally like to speak to ChatGPT if I'm not getting it to use the internet. So in this situation, I just wanted it to act as a therapist. I didn't need it to search the internet or anything. So I just basically use the mic function just to speak to it. So what I said was, the prompt was, I need your help with a situation with one of my friends. I want you to act as a therapist or a counselor or something like that. Basically, so I then described the context of the situation that I'm in. And so I went on quite a while just to explain that whole situation. And then I said, now she just told me today, this is whatever she said to me. I want you to give me feedback on the situation in an objective way because I obviously got triggered when I read her message because I feel like her message is trying to say whatever I felt like she was trying to say and that I'm not whatever. But I also know that I'm obviously emotional about the situation, so I'm not seeing things clearly. So let me know if you're ready for me to share with you what she said in her message, and then you can give me feedback. And I think in the context, I actually said, I'm going to share with you her text message. So first, I told ChatGPT, here's the context. I'm going to share with you a message that she sent me, and I want you to give me objective feedback around where I may be being subjective and emotional around the situation because I'm triggered. And so ChatGPT said, of course, I'm here to help. Go ahead and share the message from your friend whenever you're ready. I then literally copied and pasted the text message and I said, here's what she said in the message. And I again just kind of also provided the context of our conversation over text just so ChatGPT had the whole context. And then I literally pasted the entire message. And I said, give me your feedback. And then ChatGPT basically told me, it sounds like your friend is trying to set a boundary to protect her emotional well-being while still caring about you. She wants to be supportive, but feels da 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 da. Her message suggests that she values your friendship and wants to maintain it by balancing the conversation topics. It's understandable that you might feel hurt or triggered, but her intention seems to be about self-care rather than judgment. How do you feel about what she's expressed? So obviously it provided a very objective response to me. But me still being triggered and emotional, this is where I really tried to get ChatGPT to kind of see my emotional side. So I responded saying, yeah, I think objectively she's trying to set a boundary very gently, but I do feel really triggered. And I want you to do a bit of an analysis on me for any kind of cognitive distortions, limiting beliefs, or biases that I have that are making me feel like that, like this is something that is her judging me. And I feel tempted to respond in a bit of a snide way, saying that whatever other thing that I wanted to bring up to her, can you do a bit of an analysis on me on what my biases, limiting beliefs, cognitive distortions are, and why I might be feeling defensive? And so ChatGPT then actually responded with 4 different types of cognitive distortions or biases and explained to me exactly how they are being manifested in this way that I'm feeling that I told ChatGPT about. And some of the things they mentioned was personalization, all or nothing thinking, emotional reasoning, and comparison. So really, really helpful. So it really mirrored back to me where my blind spots are. I then, again, because I was honestly really triggered, like this is such a human experience, I then kept pushing further with ChatGPT and I said, I just can't get over the fact that she's saying blank. That just doesn't feel fair, but am I being objective? So again, I'm really fighting with myself here. I'm saying I can see how maybe I'm being emotional, but at the same time, like I'm really triggered and I'm really hurt and I'm kind of was really focusing on this one thing that she said. And so again, ChatGPT responded with saying it's understandable to feel upset by that specific phrase. It can sound harsh or judgmental. Here are a few thoughts to consider when wondering if you're being objective. So again, it showed me some more, like it was actually 6 points that it showed me, including first, it was the context of the metaphor. So she had used a specific metaphor that I thought was just kind of a little bit harsh. And so ChatGPT was saying, the context of the metaphor, like think about the context of the metaphor. Don't just take it so bluntly. It was also saying, using emotional reasoning versus objective reflection. And then also talking about mind reading and assumption. So it's saying that you might be assuming that your friend is judging you, but actually she's not. You're not reading her mind. And again, personalization came up again. Because this is about, your personal situation. It's easy to feel like maybe she's attacking you. So really just kind of explaining everything. Number 5 was validating your feelings and expressing them. So it was saying that, I can actually let her know that it felt a little bit harsh and I can express that to her and kind of get her to maybe explain deeper where she's coming from using that phrase. And then number 6, ChatGPT urged me to move towards a resolution, not to stew in my anger and just really focus on the solution. And so the way it ended, this is actually where I finished the conversation with ChatGPT. It said, ultimately, you're not wrong to feel triggered or hurt by the phrase. But at the same time, if you step back and look at the bigger picture of her message, she seems to care and is seeking a healthier dynamic for both of you. Recognizing that difference, harsh wording versus actual intention, can help you respond more objectively. And so after this conversation, I'm not going to lie, I felt a little disappointed with ChatGPT. I was like, why do you not have my back? But at the same time, I was really happy because it really helped me. ChatGPT really forced me to look at the situation objectively and helped me realize that, hey, I am being really emotional and she is really coming from a very positive place. And whatever judgment and harshness I'm reading into the message is definitely unintentional, especially given the whole context of our friendship as well, which is something I actually didn't even prompt into ChatGPT. But it helped me really see that, hey, I need to just put my ego aside and just actually be really happy that she's able to set this boundary with me. And so I basically sent her back a message and maybe I'll actually even pull up this message for you just as an example of how I actually responded to show her that I really appreciate her. So the message that I responded with was, give me a second here. I said, thanks for the message. I'm glad you felt comfortable to communicate that to me, and I respect the boundary you want to set. It's probably better for me too. The term blank felt a bit harsh and judgmental, but I'm sure that wasn't your intention. So again, really just saying this is how I felt, but also giving her the benefit of the doubt to say, I don't think that's what you intended. So kind of staying objective. And I said, of course, I want you to what she wants to do. I'm sorry if I took away from that. One of my faults is that, whatever this specific fault is that I know that I'm working on, it's a result of the way, whatever, something explaining about, knowing why I'm the way that I am. And it's something I'm trying to work on. And of course, she responded with saying, I definitely didn't want to come off harsh and judgmental or anything like that. And we literally went off on our merry conversation, went back to talking about normal things, and we've been totally fine ever since. And, I am just so grateful. And it's just so funny that ChatGPT was able to save, because honestly, at one point, I was literally like, my ego was like, I want to strike back, obviously, right? I felt really offended. I felt really triggered. I felt really emotional. And I wanted to strike back, but I knew that I shouldn't do that. And so there's kind of 2 elements here, right? It's not just ChatGPT. The first step was that I was self-aware enough to realize, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm being very objective right now. And I need to seek support from an objective source, which at the time I wanted to ask ChatGPT because I can't really call up my therapist just randomly like that. And this just felt like a really good solution. And so the second step was then to actually prompt ChatGPT and get it to respond to me and give me all that information around my cognitive distortions, biases, and really just kind of basically talk me off a ledge, essentially. And I'm gonna kind of go as far here and say that I think that this was actually a more comprehensive experience using ChatGPT than talking to a therapist, because ChatGPT was able to really give me all this whole comprehensive list of cognitive distortions, biases, limiting beliefs, and it was really able to analyze everything and summarize it for me. Sometimes I find with therapists, like, our brain just doesn't work like that. They're not able to just pull in all the possible cognitive distortions. So I felt like this was a really comprehensive experience. So I'm going to keep using ChatGPT for these personal situations. Again, I don't think that we should just fully outsource everything to AI. I think we still need to use our brains and think about, okay, this is what ChatGPT is saying. Do I agree with it? What do I want to take from it? But I think that it's a really, really useful tool to mirror back to us where we have blind spots, where we are thinking small, where we're being emotional, and what we might need to consider in order to see the bigger picture and be able to respond in a way that we will be proud of and in a way that is not going to harm our friendships. Because honestly, if I had reacted back to her, that would have not ended very well. And I would have been really upset with myself, and she would have been upset, and I could have potentially damaged one of the most valuable friendships in my life. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you can also gain from this in the way that I've used ChatGPT for the situation. I think it's super helpful. I think it's so easy to get triggered. And these are situations that happen honestly all the time. And so I really hope you loved this episode, and I will see you in the next one, baddie. And happy freaking new year. Let's make 2025 absolutely awesome. More videos of this style coming to you. I'm super freaking excited. Okay, I'll see you in the new year, baddie.